Hi everybody, welcome back to 17 Carat K-Pop. I've been busy traveling this week and prepping for this big speech, so this week I was just going to release the audio from that speech. Don't really have time for more episodes because of the travel and prep and stuff, but I did want to squeeze in time for a quick episode due to recent events, so I apologize if this is not my most nice, cohesive, polished episode. I just have to rant about some stuff, and I'll get back to your regular programming officially next week. And if you do want to read my speech called Autism and the Power of Music, it is on Substack now, the transcript at 17caratkpop.substack.com. And will be up in audio form soon, but for now, I'm taking a moment to just share my thoughts with you, my reflections on Moonbin and his legacy. It was such a shock, and I'm still processing it, and I have so many thoughts. But before I get to just emotionally processing this, I do want to just talk about his legacy and what I hope people remember him for. Number one, let's remember what a multifaceted entertainer he was. He was good at rapping, songwriting, composing, dancing, vocals, modeling, acting, hosting. I mean, the list goes on and on. Incredibly well-rounded, incredibly versatile. And no matter what role he was in, he found ways to kind of draw you in with his eyes, his smile, just kind of this inherent it factor that kept people engaged in what he was up to. He was wearing many hats, and he was really good at it. Number two is, of course, his role in Astro, the boy band that we've had, delivering bops to us since 2016. He also contributed a lot to their work. He was really involved in making Candy Sugar Pop, Footprint, Merry-Go-Round, By Your Side, Let's Go Ride, etc. He gave his all to the group, and he was a sub-vocalist and main dancer. Again, really captivating with his smile and his stare. Number three, his role in a subunit. Moonbin and Sanha, who really impressed me. It was also funny how they talked about having what they considered a Tom and Jerry dynamic, and the more I thought about it, the more it also kind of made sense. It's a long story, but it just showed how unique their minds work and how unique their artistic vision really was. And they were a very compatible duo. They really just pulled off impressive aesthetically specific work too. With Who and Madness, they seem to really be building off of Bad Idea, really channeling this really cool, dark, gothic, webtoon-inspired cinematic lore. They were really diving into a separate from Astro new side of them with that subunit, which was really just getting started, showing us their full potential there. They had just embarked actually on their first subunit tour just last month in Seoul. They also ought to be remembered for just deservedly breaking records. They became the fastest K-pop subunit to ever win at a music show, because it just took them 8 days after debut to do so. Number four, remember him for his iconic acting roles. Especially Boys Over Flowers, which I cannot even begin to emphasize how iconic that show was, that he brought his charm to back in 2009. Relatedly, number five, his prolific resume. He modeled for clothing brands since he was a kid, really. He was part of this project group iTeen before he joined Astro. He spent 14 years in the entertainment industry. He was already training with Fantiago, his company, by 5th grade. People saw his charisma right away. He had so many roles for TV, web shows, The Mermaid Prince, Sweet Revenge, Find Me If You Can, No Going Back Romance, The Ultimate Watch List of Latest Trends, SNL Korea Season 2, Moments of 18, the list goes on and on. He made some cute cameos too. He was in Forever Young, and he was most memorably probably known for his big on-screen debut in the TVXQ video for Balloons back in 2006, where he played a mini version of You Know. He also was shining at Seoul Fashion Week, showing he really has this draw to him that compels you to look at what he's doing outside of Astro, outside of Moonbin and Sanha, just as himself off stage as well. He really showed that charisma, that it factor with Fashion Week appearances, as well as his hosting gigs, the Gangnam Fest concert, the Incheon K-pop show. Number six, remember him for his award show wins. Best Supporting Actor at the Seoul Web Film Fest in 2022. He also won at the Brand Awards in 2020, Male Actor of the Year. He also won Male Entertainer of the Year at the APAN Awards that same year. And number 7, when reflecting on his legacy, you have to talk about who he was just as a person, outside of acting roles, modeling roles, period, just being himself. He was really, really charming and caring with fans and just with anyone he was with. Again, that kind of just exuded out of him, that charm, that endearment, that endearing approachability mixed with the more dramatic persona at times, but always under the surface you could tell just a sweet person. Very approachable, and he really just showed his love for Astro's fans with the special ring he wore as a tribute to them, even wrote the fandom name on his shoes. He would always talk about fans as like the 7th member of Astro. Also lately I've just been seeing on my social media feed so much content in terms of photos and videos of him looking into concert crowds and stuff. Really just eye-sparkling, delighted to have warm interactions with fans. Really special to see how much he cared. And I really love that he would write poems. Yes, in addition to all these other roles, he was a poet, and he would write his original poems, offering very consoling words to fans and post them online. So he kept writing and posting, sharing his insights with us, in a beautiful way with words with us. So when asking who is Moonbin, make sure you point out he was a very multi-talented person who made countless irreplaceable contributions to Astro, as well as the subunit that was historic in its success. He also made an impact with Boys Over Flowers and went on to star in so much. And he really, really cared about the people around him, fans and other artists alike. I see it quite differently now. When he took that hiatus back in 2019, during the Blue Flame era promo, he took a break. They just cited health issues. He came back to group activities early 2020. So February 2020, back from hiatus. March 2020, just 1 month later, he got another gig as the MC of Show Champion. Then that spring, he got another gig. He joined the show Food Avengers. It's kind of a red flag in hindsight just to realize that he was kind of not just put back into the swing of things post-hiatus, but so quickly had more tasks heaped onto his plate. I'm not insinuating anything nefarious. I'm just saying in hindsight, it really sends a message about, hey, let's let artists slow down. 2020 was hard for all of us, let alone with extra new responsibilities and expectations being piled up so quickly. He was really ready to shine even brighter. Fantiago issued a statement December 30th of last year, 2022, saying he had just renewed his contract. So he was ready for years more of this, but maybe that felt unsustainable to him, to keep giving so much of himself. So let's always remember his projects, his poems, his loving spirit, and be inspired by it, and of course never forget it. Also, please, keeping your thoughts and prayers, Moon Sua, his little sister, who now is an only child. And she's in the group Billy, so I hope they do not get pushed back into promo mode for a long time. So please be looking out for, if you pray, send prayers to Moon Sua and how she's handling this, as well as, of course, Moonbin's family and friends. Now I do want to take a minute to talk about just what I've been thinking about, because this got me thinking about public grief, and maybe I'm saying what people hoped someone would say out loud. Here's where my head is at this week, seeing the response. It's always hard to know how to respond in moments of tragedy mixed with shock, because this was so just out of the blue. Again, hindsight's 2020, and his 2020 did seem very pressure-filled for him, and now I see that hiatus in a new light, so maybe he actually was struggling more than it seemed. But on its face, this was a shock. He seemed at the top of his career. Things were going so well externally for him. So how to deal with a sudden shock? It's hard because what is the right way to grieve? Some K-pop artists have put releases on hold, postponed them till next week, to just have a quiet mourning period. Some artists didn't. Music shows are going on as planned. A lot that was in the works was not abruptly stopped, but went ahead as planned. Some people say that's really insensitive. We should just all enter a period of mourning. Other people say it doesn't do any good. practically speaking, so just carry on. Others say, well, we want to shut it all down, but it's not that simple. Some people after a tragedy think maybe we should actually just keep up releasing stuff for the sake of helping people who are grieving have moments of levity, distracting entertainment, escapism right now from a cruel world. Others feel like that's not right, but I always struggle with the timing because there's never going to be a day where suddenly it's like, okay, mourning period is over. We can go back to normal life as if that tragedy never happened. There's never a moment where it's like, woo, we can emotionally move on from that. It's not like there's a moment where people can just emotionally close that door. So next week, Sunday, Monday, when a lot of K-pop releases might just get back on track, the mourning didn't stop abruptly when the clock changed to midnight. So is that too soon? Would a week be too soon? A month be too soon? And it's hard because there's no perfect time to stop the solemnity. So I struggle with this, as well as because I am an independent creator. I know what it's like to put content on hold. Sometimes we want to, but frankly, bills need to be paid, and bills don't stop for grieving. So people will put out content still, even if it feels like a bad time. And like with the big music shows, they employ a lot of people. And so to just cancel some shows is actually more logistically and financially just not as cut and dry of an idea as you think. I think ultimately what's important to remember is that there is no right answer to any of this. And that's the point. I feel like something as cruel and complex and hard to understand as suicide and the like, the point is it cannot be explained. The answer is that there is no answer. Something so tragic needs to be unanswerable. It needs to stay a big, complex, never-solved puzzle. That's where the tragedy comes from. By the very nature of it, it will stay a mystery, a source of endless whys and hows about processing it. If people are posting as normal, don't gang up on them and think, hey, this is selfish. I guess we all just have to learn to live with tragedies and carry them. Some people are able to do that right away. Other people who are a bigger fan of his or knew him personally, it's not that quick. The last thing this situation needs is yelling at each other, judging each other for how we process something that's impossible to process. No one's going to act perfect right now and has a million different reasons why they are or are not posting as normal, acting as normal. We're learning to carry an inherently awful, confusing weight of the world. Something has happened that we all have to process collectively, and we'll all do that in a different way. So it does no one any good to feel like you should police how people are acting right now. And some people do just want to keep posting as normal because that's their way of coping, or just feeling like they're helping by giving people some levity. Other people, that's not what they want. It's just hard because there's no right answer. I hope I'm making sense, but maybe I'm not. Just rambling thinking about the nature of grief lately because I've kind of had to coexist with this. I learned about his death right before I was set to take the stage for my big speech this week, which still went okay, but it's weird to celebrate that big milestone amid a tragedy, but I guess that's life. So whatever you need to feel like you're brought consolation, joy, comfort, whatever you need emotionally, go ahead and don't feel guilty for that, even if it's just saying you're proud of yourself for a victory of the day. So just give yourself space to heal, process the unprocessable without being mean to anyone, including yourself, about how you do that. Plus, think about how Moonbin would think about this. He would want us to not act like it didn't happen, but try to carry on anyway. Live life, and I don't know, this is hard to talk about. I don't know what else to advise you, just to be gentle to yourselves and others, and remember that there can be an odd sense of comfort in knowing there's no right answer for how to grieve or think about grief, because everyone else is in just as perpetual of a state of confusion as you are. No one's answering the questions, no one has it figured out, and being in it together hopefully helps. So do what you gotta do to feel better now and know it's not right or wrong to do that. We just need to take care of each other while we're here. It's also just hard because there's no right way to report about this. Certain media outlets will say what happened, and I'm not mad they reported about it, but they didn't report about him in life. Then there are, of course, the usual finger-pointing moments of this goes to show how dangerous the K-pop world is, which is hard because it's not written about in a nuanced way that acknowledges the issues with the K-pop industry structure and the pressure, while also saying, hey, this is not specific to K-pop. Now I really am just rambling, but I'm just taking in so much this week about the nature of what it's like to be in this world amid cruel things like this happening. People being taken too soon, people suffering secretly, and I think so much more could be made better about our world if we just took each other into consideration more and looked out for each other while just sitting with the discomfort of not knowing where to turn. There's always the finger pointing. It feels better to say this is because of this messed up industry, or this happened because people didn't check up on him, or whatever. But really, it's not about trying to find something to point your finger at. Healing will come from, I think, working day by day to not focus on a specific presumed cause, but to understand the messy multitude of causes that leads to this type of tragedy. So navigate the world day by day in a way that doesn't just scapegoat or kind of draw attention away from the bottom line, which is every single day at an interpersonal level, we should just be kind and gentle with each other. And day by day that adds up to a better world that isn't so full of just hate and accusations and vitriol. Quite a ramble today. Just some of my thoughts about the fact that this is not supposed to be easy. Just human nature should not make it easy to process something so terrible. So let's all just give each other grace now more than ever. Also, if you really need to talk to someone, you always can. Go to findahelpline.com. There are also a lot of visuals and special gatherings in his memory this weekend. So if you want to go to any of those, there are a ton of events that are being organized on social media, and a ton of great resources for info are being compiled by @KFam Media on Twitter. Thank you for tuning in, and rest in peace, Moonbin. You did well.